This is Corolla Digital.
Hello, my little blue cheese crumbles. It's me, Allison. Before the show officially starts, wanted to say a few things. One, this is kind of a just me or everyone, and yet I didn't do it in the segment. I hate plain water. I'm trying to think if I've ever brought that up on this show. If I am forced to drink just water, it is as if there is nothing that's liquid that I can drink at all. I will die of thirst before drinking water. That might be an exaggeration, but I just don't like it. Have I talked about it before? You're nodding, Gary.
I think you have, but it's hard for me to differentiate between this show and just knowing you and other shows. But I'm pretty sure we've discussed that before when somebody was asking to taste your water.
Right. That sounds like a euphemism. But Gary's referring to these sodas that I drink, which they're sparkling water beverages, and they have flavoring, and they're super artificial tasting, but calorie-free and caffeine-free, because I enjoy the taste of things that are very artificial. Anyway, I think it's time for iTunes Comment of the Week.
Allison wants your iTunes comments. Allison wants them, yes she does. Please leave her some iTunes comments and don't forget to click 5 stars.
All right, this one comes from thintheherd.net.
Oh, and warning, if you're eating something, put it down.
It's titled Hilarious Makes Me Horny. Allison, the next time you poop, please freeze it and send it to me so I can put it in my butt and poop it out later. I will also accept your underpants following a long bike ride, walk, or workout so I can boil and make tea with. Thanks and keep it up.
Well, thank you, you seductive devil. I'm going to ask a question. I don't want the answer to it. Do people really do that? Gary, you can give me your assessment.
I don't know. Probably. People are sick fucks.
I know. The reason I don't want the answer to it is because I don't want anyone to send any sort of link with information unless the information is, no, they don't. Here's a lot of ducklings. No, they don't. Here's a lot of puppies. But if there's any sort of anything else, don't send it. I don't want to know.
Nor do I.
And you know what? I just talked about how I don't want to drink water. Tea made out of post-workout underwear, that would just taste like hot water. At least mine would, to be quite honest. You look like you're going to puke.
I don't... How did we get here?
The iTunes comment. It's something that one of our lovely fans wanted to share with us.
Thank you for clicking 5 stars.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much. Please tell all your friends. Yeah. If you have friends, please tell them. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
We
appreciate it.
We do.
Really.
So much. All right. I think it is time for fan phone call. We will be calling Tara.
On a fan phone call, Allison wants to thank you all. On a fan phone call.
Wait, I forgot to say that if you want your comment to be iTunes Comment of the Week, just leave us a good comment and click 5 stars. And by the way, we prefer comments that aren't disgusting. Just an FYI.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
We cannot catch a break today, Gary. Hello, Tara, or is it Tara? I don't know, but this is Alison Rosen from Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend, and it's also Gary, and we're calling because you're the person we're calling for a fan phone call, but it didn't even ring. It went straight to voicemail, which I think means her phone is off, right, as opposed to when you send to voicemail?
Correct.
Okay. Perhaps you're underground. Perhaps you're taking some kind of tube or channel. I doubt it, but it could happen. Maybe your phone died. That happened to me this morning. Do we have any indication of whether it's Tara or Tara from the spelling?
Tara?
That could be either. And now we'll never know. Today is fueled by this mystery. I'm going to hang up now so that we don't use up her entire thingy. Oh, did you already hang up? Okay, goodbye, Tara. Even though we already hung up. Or Tara, I'm going to hang it up over here. This has been a seamless fan phone call. Let's try Ben.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Ben Coleman.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Sup, Ben? It's Alison Rosen of Alison Rosen's Your New Best Friend. And Gary, we're calling you as part of the fan phone call segment, the segment on my show which truly allows me to interact with the listeners. That's you. It's going great. Unfortunately, you didn't answer the phone. You're probably busy. It also seems that you have some kind of accent. I would have liked to find out what kind of accent that is. Now I'll never know. Thanks a lot, Ben. Goodbye. Well, you win some, you lose some. Today, we're just 0 for 2.
Yeah, that's pretty hurting.
What kind of accent do you think that was?
I don't know. I don't like to speculate.
I know. And it was our chance to speak with someone who could have had all kinds of stories.
You never know.
I know.
It could have been a cornucopia.
I know. A horn of plenty of interestingness. And here's the thing. In real life, or in non-podcast life, when I'm calling someone and it goes to voicemail, sometimes I'm like, this is okay with me because now I'm avoiding that white-hot panic of interaction. However, now on the show, when it goes to voicemail, so I feel a little bit of loss. I'm mourning the chance to speak with Tara and Ben because it'll never come again. Sure, you might say we could just call them again, but are we going to? Most likely not, because that's just how this show is. Anyway, I want to tell you guys about our good friends over at GoToMeeting. This would be our good friends over at Citrix. We love them, and we love GoToMeeting because it allows you to meet with your coworkers or with family members. You can meet with anyone, really, without actually having to be in the same physical space as them, which is super convenient and liberating and allows you to conduct business from the privacy of a conga line, lost continent of Atlantis, Disneyland, or any amusement park, really. I don't mean to call out a specific one. Pantsless, in a hot tub or jacuzzi, or from a sauna, although I feel like that would be detrimental to whatever sort of device you're using to connect with your meeting partners, probably a computer or iPad. But you can see each other, HD, crystal clear quality. Of course, you can hear each other. And you can even collaborate on documents. You can give someone else control of your screen. So any sort of work that you could get done in person, you can get done with GoToMeeting. And it is really convenient. And you don't have to spend any time in traffic, which is someone who has spent probably 3/4 of my life in traffic. And I'm not even exaggerating, except maybe a tiny bit. That is a huge relief. And you can even host a meeting from an iPad, which is awesome as well. Start hosting your own face-to-face online meetings today with GoToMeeting. My listeners can try it free for 30 days. For this special offer, visit GoToMeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and use the promo code Allison. That's GoToMeeting.com, promo code Allison. Try it free today. All right, you guys, here it is. Part 1 of my interview with Jim Jefferies. It was really interesting sitting down with him. He's a really funny guy. Gary and I were laughing a lot, and then also we were moved in parts. I'm speaking for Gary, but I'm assuming that he was laughing and was moved.
Yeah, I'll co-sign that. I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
And there were definitely insightful parts of it as well.
That's right. I mean, let's not give the whole thing away.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm not a pro like you.
I won't co-sign that.
Oh, that's very sweet.
It
took me a second to realize what that meant, but yeah, I like it.
I just took
Thank
that
you.
and I made a circle and a slash right through it.
Aw, thank you.
But I had my fingers crossed behind my back. Oh. Just kidding. Opposite day. I wish I could reach into some kind of bag of third grade references. Not it. No givebacks. That's all I got. You guys, that is a glimpse of my maturity level and my sense of humor. Okay, I am uncomfortable now, and here comes the episode. I love you.
Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it is me, Alison Rosen, and I'm sitting here with Jim Jefferies.
Hello.
And a lot has happened since you've come in. You explained that you're kind of hungover, or no, you were drunk when we asked you to do the podcast?
You asked me to do the podcast very long ago when I
Yeah.
was here with Adam, and then I said yes, and then you confirmed, and I said sure, but I was drunk when I confirmed.
Oh.
I just looked back on that on the text. I did want to come. I'm a bit late.
Whatever, I feel like we're already off to a terrible start.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But wait, when was the surprise party for you?
Oh, I turned 36 on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
and-
happy birthday in a few
and
days.
I complained to my girlfriend that it's a shitty time to have a birthday because all your friends are out with their girlfriends or husbands or whatever. And so I had never had a party, and I wouldn't want to organise one because then you have to ask people, like,
Yeah.
come and celebrate. And also 36 is a boring birthday. Usually only celebrates 40s, 35, 30.
Right,
you know.
right.
And so she organised a surprise party, and I was genuinely surprised. But my girlfriend, I bought some cowboy boots just on a whim about 2 weeks earlier, so she decided to make it cowboy themed.
Imagine what would have happened if you had bought some other kind of shoe.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was all bales of hay, and everyone looked
Like a
little.
Sadie Hawkins dance.
They looked a little bit like those plastic cowboy hats. They looked like Woody from Toy Story. No one really got right into it. Then there was the occasional person who just rocked up with a bandana around their neck. That was
Right.
the effort they put in.
How did you feel about that?
It's an amazing thing, a surprise party, because you go, oh, these are the people who liked me, and then you start going, where's this person?
That's why, in general, I always find it best if it turns out that I have to work on my birthday,
Yeah.
because otherwise I turn into this like weird, greedy social bean counter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I just want to. Well, actually, no, I go the other way though, because then I start to feel bad if because I think, oh, maybe I'll just go out with like one person or two people or three, and then I start to think, well, no, but that person will feel bad if I don't, and then all of a sudden I'm like trying to plan the most awkward dinner party ever.
Also, I have to. I never wish people a happy birthday. I never bother. I'm a horrible person. So why should anyone wish it to me? You know, but it was very nice. But a lot of people from my TV show turned up, and I feel
Legit on FX.
Legit on FX, 10:30 Thursdays, and critically acclaimed Legit on FX. But we need ratings to get renewed, and it's on Valentine's Day. So I wonder if that'll hurt us. But I can't.
All you Nielsen box folk who make up my listenership.
Exactly.
Tune in.
We get ratings like this, so they go, you just went up in 18 to 34-year-old men. You went dramatically down in women. And you're like, how do they fucking know?
How do they know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we have to get, I think they want men from 18 to 34 on FX, because all the adverts on my show are car insurance and Taco Bell. You know, so it's like, that's what they're trying to sell it to.
Yeah.
Young men.
So wait, but how did she pull off this surprise party?
She
And were you really surprised?
We still have 2 episodes to edit, and so the director said, "Oh, you got to come out to the editing room," and then he made me edit for a little while, and then I came back, and I was genuinely surprised. I actually drove up to my house and went, "Oh, there's a lot of cars parked out here. Someone's having a party." You know, I didn't
It
even
was
think.
for you.
Yeah, it threw me off because it wasn't actually my birthday. It was several days before my birthday, but it was very nice, and we.
Did you almost cry or anything?
No, but it is just shock, and I think people expect a speech or something. I just sort of wander around in a daze, and I hadn't been drinking for a couple of months, and she bought a big margarita machine, one of those big Slurpee machines, and fill it up. So I thought, well, you know, I can't get into too much trouble in my own house.
And?
I got wasted. I got wasted and crawled up the stairs and fell asleep and had a terrible hangover.
Why hadn't you been drinking for a couple months?
The hangovers are getting too much for me now, really, to do. So it used to be that I got drunk at shows, and then the flights back with a hangover is terrible, you know. So I just thought I'd give it a bit of a rest, and I'm doing so much press for the TV show that I didn't want to be unreliable and show up late. or anything.
Yeah, no, it's totally okay. I didn't mean to give you a hard time about it or anything. I just wanted to bring up the stuff that had happened before we turned the mics on. Because also you said that you were going 10-pin bowling tonight.
I'm going 10-pin bowling.
And
yeah.
and then I took a stab at it and I said, "Is that just bowling?" And then you said, "What do you call it?" And I said, "We call it bowling."
Yeah, well, lawn bowls is very popular in Australia.
Right.
So,
okay.
And in Britain as well, they call it 10-pin bowling. Yeah. There's a joke that I got a job at a bowling alley. I can't remember who says this joke. I got a job at a bowling alley. It's not full time. It's 10-pin. Right? Like so that joke obviously wouldn't work here in America.
Yeah. Well, if they listened to this podcast first, it would.
I'm trying to think who did that. I want to give the credit to the guy. Tim Vine. That's a Tim Vine joke.
So have you ever been 10-pin bowling?
Not for years, but it was on a whim, and so I'm gonna go bowling. And I've got the baby now, so you try to find activities that you can go out with your friends and not look ultra creepy with a baby.
So like, what's out?
Yeah, like you can have a baby in a pram at a 10-pin bowling alley and you don't look odd, but like sometimes me and my girlfriend will go to a nice restaurant and the baby's asleep, but people look at you like, oh.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just fucking eat at Applebee's and Chuck E. Cheese.
How do they look at you when you have you flown with the baby yet?
I have flown with the baby, yeah.
How did you feel about that? Because I feel like no one ever wants to see a gigantic person or a baby on a plane.
He's a good baby. He doesn't cry on planes.
Oh.
He hasn't yet. He's been on 3 flights and he hasn't cried. And there was a baby near us that was screaming, and I sort of looked like, hey, look at how good this one is, you know. But the secret is to breastfeed him while you're taking off, so his ears don't pop. So for any parents out there,
yeah, that's a good tip. So how old is the baby?
He's 3 months old.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
He's brand new.
He's brand spanking. I'll show you some photos afterwards. He's a lovely little fella called Hank.
How is new fatherhood?
It's it is what it's just trying to not let something die. You know what I mean? Like you check on it, is it dead? No, it's not dead. There's no real parenting. I can't give it advice. You know, we're at that weird stage where now he's grabbing for things. Like in the last 2 days, he started picking things up of his own accord, and we're like, wow. And then we check online, and we're like, yeah, that's like a week advanced.
Obviously, you have a very smart baby.
Yeah. We're going, yeah, we think he's pretty good. And then, like, there was a bit where he learnt that he could throw his head around, and that scared us because we thought autism straight away. We went, oh, he's throwing his head around. And no, it turns out he just figured out he could do that. He did that for 2 days and then stopped doing it because he probably had a headache or something. Yeah. But, you know, all these people who say, you watch a news story and then someone will say something like, they'll go, a British nanny shake the baby. Yeah. And they'll always be standing next to someone and we'll go, I can't believe that someone would do that. The people who say that are people who don't have babies. I could, if I was a bit, stupid, I could definitely shake him. When in the middle of the night when you're tired and you're like, go to sleep, come on. Go to sleep, and he's just not taken to it. Oh, yeah, I can shake him up, yeah.
Out of frustration?
I never have. Yeah, I can see how people do it out of frustration. Because you're over... But I'll tell you what, having a baby... way easier than a coke habit.
How so?
Well, coke habits, you're waking up all the time, but with depression, it is a happy tired. It is you go in there and you feel a sense of accomplishment when you put him to bed, when you just like do that light little shake and the thing and you sing and you can see his eyes drop down and then you go back in, you look at your girlfriend like, fucking, I'm the king, man. You know what I mean? When you do it and she doesn't, it's there is a sense of accomplishment. Where a coke habit, you wake up all the time and you got a dry mouth and you're a bit depressed, you know. I think if you're thinking of having a baby, try a coke habit first. Just see how it feels.
What if you're thinking of having a coke habit?
You can't go the other way. Social services come in, don't they?
Yeah. So have you had a coke habit?
In the past, not for years, but in London it's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Over here it doesn't feel so much. But
but people, I know people here who lived there and would talk about, like, I feel like Spain and Britain are the places where I hear about people just passing around a plate after dinner. Yeah,
London, for example, in certain comedy clubs, if another comedian just pulled a gram of coke and started doing it on the coffee table, no one would bat an eyelid, where here in America you'd still have to scurry off to the bathroom to do it.
I mean, is it like akin to pot?
Pot's still popular, but it's...
But I mean, like, the way we regard pot is that how it's regarded there, or is it the way we regard cigarettes and alcohol? Like it's that
well, you guys, cigarettes are more acceptable there as well, and alcohol's way more acceptable here. You still get this whole stigma around. I think you've got a drinking problem. That one, right?
You can do such a good American accent.
Where no one ever had said I had a drinking problem in the UK, but it's Coke over there. If you're at a party, you'd assume there'd be Coke at the party. Where over here, you'd still, even at a party, you'd probably go off to a different room.
Right.
Where people,
the bathroom, probably.
Yeah, people don't have any problems just pulling it out and openly saying, anyone want some Coke? You know, so it's completely different.
Right. Well,
America's much more healthier for me.
It is.
Yeah, the food's worse, but, you know, like in the health-wise, it's better tasting. But, there's not as many drugs out here.
Are you happier here?
I am happier here. Yeah. I'm much happier in America. Yeah, I love Britain, but it was a different time in my life.
When did you live there?
I lived there from 23 years of age to 32 years of age.
And you lived in Australia before that?
I brought up in Australia. Left Australia when I was 23.
Where in Australia? Even though I only know of
Sydney.
Yeah,
I'm from Sydney. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the Opera House in a
lovely
special episode of Facts of Life when they went down under.
It went down. It's a beautiful city. Sydney. I go back there and I'm amazed how not. If I had a daughter, I would have called her Sydney. That was the daughter's name, but we call it Hank after my girlfriend's dead father. And there was a weird thing because my mother was like, "What about your father?" And I'm like, "Well, he's not dead. We can't have a competition here."
Right. Did that placate her?
It was all right. My mother didn't like the name Hank because she thought it was too common.
Is it Henry or is it Hank?
Hank. That's how it's just straight in. Because the father was Dutch and his name was Henricus.
Oh, and you didn't want to go that far.
Everyone called him Hank. We weren't going to call him Henricus. Stuff that.
No. What's your dad's name?
Gary.
That's Gary, the producer's name.
Yeah, Gary, yeah. And his middle name, my son's middle name is Lennon.
Lennon.
Yeah, I like the Beatles and communism.
I was going to say, is it Lenin or Lenin?
Yeah. Named him after a Beatle, yeah.
Right. I know, I was thinking, I just got a puppy, which is not at all the same as a baby, although I feel like I relate to a lot of what you're saying. Like, all of a sudden I have this feeling of like, just, oh my God, the responsibility I had. I feel like it's just a little bit, in a small way, I can understand what people with a new baby feel like, because I've never felt this before, this sense of, oh my God, there will never be a release from this.
Yeah, it's the taking care of someone else that is reliant on you. And a dog is the same thing. And it is very satisfying. It's also a pain in the ass. But it does make you feel more adult all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. When my girlfriend was pregnant, I wanted to get a dog, and my girlfriend told me whilst pregnant, I'm not responsible enough for a dog.
Was she right, or have you proven her wrong now?
I'll tell you what, we still don't have a fucking dog. I'd like to have one, but she says I travel too much and she'd have to take care of it, which is true. But I'd like to have a dog. I think it's good for a kid to have a dog as well, teach them some type of responsibility. Because I don't understand these people who have 2 kids right away. I can't see myself having another kid for a long time.
Yeah, I know. I think about that. I think you have one that's like 1.5. How are you popping out another already?
Yeah.
They're not going to take care of each other.
Well, people say do it quick because that way, you know, it's also the end game of getting out of it.
Right. Oh, right.
You know, I'm 18 years away now from being free again.
So it's easier to tolerate like 20 years than 25 or something.
you get 20 years in the cell.
Right.
And then you're out.
But are you having that feeling a little bit?
No, because it's when you're in 18 years, when I'm in my 50s and all that type of stuff, I think I'll enjoy having the interest of what he's up to. Hopefully he's not a problem and a drug addict or whatever where I have to like actually take care of him or he's a problem. But I understand now why my parents always want to know what's going on. And I never got it. My mum, what's going on? What are you doing? What are you up to? And I was like, what do you care for? What?
Yeah.
You know, and I understand now. I'm a hobby to my mother.
Right, a pastime.
Yeah, it's a pastime. It's they can't do anything. The world's boring when you're old.
Yeah.
And so they live vicariously through younger people. And I guess that's what I'll do when I'm older.
Oh, this makes me feel guilty for not responding to emails from my mom, which are like just 3 words in their question, like, how are you? How was this? Like exactly what you're saying, you know?
I get it now. It still bothers the shit out of me.
Why does it bother you?
Because my mum just is constantly on me, like, what am I up to? And my mum's very... So the TV show's out at the moment, right? And it's not airing in Australia yet, if at all. It might never air in Australia. But to my mother, it mustn't be a very good show if it's not airing in Australia.
Right.
And you think, Mum, that's 20 million people. We're trying to sell it to these 330 million people in this country first.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, no. The Nine Network won't show it. I think it's too sweary or something. You know, so it's weird because if we get to a second season, I'll cast someone as my mother and there'll be a lot of things that she's done in the actual show and it may hurt her feelings. But, you know, I'm out of ideas. I've got to write new episodes.
What's your mom like?
She's a big woman, big, large woman who sits in a lazy boy and orders people around. Is the most succinct way of saying it. She's a largish sort of lady who I have mocked over the years in my stand-up, and I regret some of it. My dad's like a skinny, sort of active sort of bloke, and my mum likes chocolates. It's a weird... My mum's always in and out of hospital. I think that's her happiest time is when she's in hospital.
Why?
Because there's people doting on her, people visit her. You know, there's nurses check on her. She gets to tell the lady that's laying next door all about her sons and what they're up to, and that's old lady heaven.
Yeah, you're right. I know. It's that, or sometimes they do it at a manicure place.
I call it having a mum off. It's like it's like a dance off, but it's for mums. Where the two mums sit there and they compare occupations of their sons and what they're up to. And for years and years, my mum was very disappointed in what I was up to. But now I'm a relative success, so she's okay with it.
And how many siblings do you have?
2 older brothers, and one of my older brothers is a very successful property developer, does shopping centres.
In Australia?
In Australia. My other brother's a cop. So,
in Australia as well?
Yeah. So I can have a cop
It's a lot of range
in
the Jefferies or the Nugent family.
We're like the A-team.
You're Jeff Nugent, right? Is that correct?
My real name is Jeff Nugent, but my stage name is Jim Jefferies. And the family in Legit we've called the Nugents. There's a little nod.
Yes,
to my family.
I saw that. Why did you decide to change it?
I remember going, I was Jeffrey with a G, and on my first ever gig, I went on and I was introduced as Godfrey Nugent. And I thought, we can't do this. We can't be called Godfrey Nugget. And
where was that?
That was in Sydney. And then Nugent's a very uncommon name in Australia. Over here, because of Ted Nugent, it's more well known.
Right.
And then also, I don't want to be associated with Ted Nugent either.
Yeah.
He's not the guy that I want to have people reference all the time to me. So Jim was my middle name, and I was thinking Jeffrey James, and then Jim Jeffries, and then that's what I've been called ever since. But my son's got my stage surname because I figure I'll change it one day properly. So I'm not married to my girlfriend, so she's got a different name. So all 3 of us have different names. Completely. It's a kind of a thing to get on planes.
I bet, yeah.
They're like, why is this baby got a... And you're like, wow, what about your wife? We're not married. Then there's that judgment call that the lady behind the counter gives you.
Do you think you guys will get married?
I hope so, yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm not rushing into that. We conceived a child fairly early in our relationship, so... You know, I want to see how everything pans out, but I'd like to, yeah. Sorry.
Pushing the microphone at you.
I was leaning back, so hopefully my girlfriend wouldn't hear that.
Oh, she doesn't listen.
So I don't think she listens. But her family are very religious, and they came when the baby was born, and her mother brought holy water.
Oh, wow.
I walk in, and she's like sprinkling fucking water on the baby's head, right? And everyone looked at me because they know I'm an atheist and then freaked the fuck out, right? And I said, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. It's not like I'm a Muslim and you're going against my religion.
Right.
I don't have a religion. Do your voodoo. Enjoy yourself. Knock yourself out if you think this will help something. Sprinkle some water on his head. Mm-hmm. And then the mother said she wouldn't stay with me and Kate in the house because we were living in sin. And I'm like, that's another incentive not to get married. You know what I mean? Oh, your mother will never stay with us. Right. Why we're not married? Oh, no. Oh, she's got me. I won't get that company.
Is your girlfriend religious?
No.
And she's on your show, right?
She's in legit. She's in 2 episodes. She's in the first episode and the final episode.
Who does she play in the first episode?
She plays a prostitute in the first episode that
That's what I thought. Okay.
We get to sleep with the disabled guy.
Yes. Yeah, I was watching it last night, actually, and I remember you had told me, how you guys met and stuff, and so I thought, I think that's her. Yes.
A lot of characters come back in the final episode. She's back in that one as well. Mm-hmm. But I can't give away too much what happens there. But have you watched any other episodes?
Gary, I have not had a chance to yet.
I have.
Gary
he's
a huge fan.
But I love that show. It's really great. My roommates and I all watched together.
Episode 3 was sweet.
Yeah, it was. That one was pretty great.
Fill me in.
Basically, I masturbate off Billy because he wants to have Skype sex with a girl and he doesn't want to tell her that he's disabled. And it turns out really sweet, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Which is hard to make.
I was just reading Alan Sepinwall's reviews talking about how warm the show is.
It's a hard job to. DJ's coming bowling with us today, which will be interesting. But DJ plays a great disabled.
DJ Qualls, yeah.
Yeah, he does. The funny thing about
really
DJ,
good.
He said to me the other day, he's lost his virginity on film 7 times. 7 times.
That's funny.
Every time they go, we need like a white nerdy guy who has a virgin look, DJ just rocks up.
Yeah, there's something so innocent and gangly about the way he appears, I guess.
He had cancer as a kid, so I think that's what gives him that sort of look. But, it's he was also, you would notice, a Prada model.
I did not know that.
If you DJ,
although now I can totally see it.
If you Google DJ Qualls Prada, you'll see catwalk model stuff of him in the early 90s during the heroin chic years when they wanted everyone to look gaunt and all that type of stuff.
Right.
DJ's fucking there, strutting down all through Italy and stuff.
Did you know him before this show?
No, he came into audition and I just watched him in Breaking Bad the night before, so I got all excited when he came in. And I think Memphis Beat had just gotten cancelled, so he was just trying to keep himself busy. And the thing about you can get a good guy to play. Actors want to be disabled. It's like a big thing in the acting world.
I guess so, yeah.
That's how you win awards.
Right.
That's how you show a bit of depth. Play disabled. They're all up for it. But I'm of the opinion now that I think DJ has the easiest job because he's just sitting there. I want to see like an Oscar go to a disabled or mentally challenged person playing normal.
Yes.
That would be good. When you're watching DVD extra features and there's just a guy going, when Steven Spielberg asked me, and you'd be like, oh my God, that guy was amazing.
You're right.
I couldn't believe Brad Pitt was retarded all these years.
Because maybe if they feel like we're taking their jobs, then the shoe could be on the other foot.
Well, you know what it's called in the disabled community when an able-bodied person plays disabled, they call it crip face. Like, you call it blackface, cripple face.
Oh, wow.
Crip face.
So there is a movement.
There's a few people, for the most part, the disabled community have been twittering and supporting the show because we also use another character called Rodney, who is a mentally challenged actor, and he's 4'11". He's about a size 48 waist, 22 leg. And it's hard when you go, we've got a mentally challenged guy here and a guy in a wheelchair, and it's a comedy,
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious in the second episode, by the way.
He comes back in at the next episode 5. He's in about 6 episodes. He was only meant to be in 1, but we love him so much.
Well, so for listeners, if they haven't seen the show, let's set up like what it's about for them.
Well, it all stems from a story. I grew up with a friend with muscular dystrophy who's still living, and in real life, and his brother came to me once when about 5 years ago and said, look, I won't say his name, but he wants to go get laid because he's not long for this earth, and so we took him to a brothel to get him a blowjob. And then the story after that, so that's the pilot episode, but after that, it's basically we had a disabled guy who moved in with us and all the challenges of that. And there's a lot of stories from my stand-up acted out. But it's very hard show to explain. Would you say that's how it is, Gary?
Yeah, I don't really know how to verbalize it either because the first one is very much straight from your stand-up, but then you guys build off of that.
Episode 4 is straight from my stand-up, but then like episode 5 a different story. Most of it's sort of 50-50 stand-up and a few stories that actually happened to me that we've just put in, and then other ones we've obviously just made up. And to begin with, we sort of wanted the Billy character, the disabled guy, to be in 2 or 3 episodes, and FX loved him so much, they said he's in all the episodes. And now I can write for that character easier than I can write for myself. That's like the easy storylines is, Billy's stuck on the toilet and this is what's happened and we're all out and we've forgotten. Those ones are a piece of piss to write. The final episode I just watched, which you got to watch it all the way through, is the best work I've ever done. Most proud I've been of anything in my whole career, that final episode.
Which aspect of it are you talking about most?
Well,
because you're writing and are you directing as well?
No, I'm not the director. The guy I co-wrote with it, Peter O'Fallon, is the director of all the episodes. And we wrote.
But you write and you produce.
Yeah, me and Peter wrote everything. I produce and then I act. But for me, being what you call an offensive comic. And then writing a show that is sweet in parts I'm very proud of, because I think people see me as being a bit more aggressive or jerky, And the only thing that bothers me is I'm playing a character fairly close to myself on the show.
Same name, yeah?
Yeah, same name.
Same stage name.
Yeah. And a lot of people are comparing me to Danny McBride in Eastbound and Down, which is pretty offensive. Because I don't think my character's that bad a guy in the show. I think he's all right.
No way. That's a bad comparison. That's
Yeah.
messed up.
Someone said I look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. You should wait till episode 12, 13 when catering really got to me. I get fat as this show. I've dropped 10 of the pounds since. And not through any effort, just through not going to work. But there's fucking donut trays everywhere and dessert platters and shit. I have no self-control. I'm good at bringing healthy food into my house and eating healthy food in my house. But if it's there and someone's carrying a tray, I eat the fucking donut every time.
Yeah. What's your favorite donut?
I like the white cream filling on like a chocolate donut type of thing. Yeah, my girlfriend got really into donuts in the last 2 weeks of her pregnancy. It was out of hand. She was like hoarding them. Like you'd see her in a corner with like 4 or 5. She'd come down to the set and she'd be scurried away because she was so embarrassed. But that was it. She'd go off to a private corner to do it. I'll tell you a funny story. For me, being a good dad and all that type of stuff, and all that is I don't want to cheat on my girlfriend on the road or anything like that, and I try to keep myself in check because it's easy to do that. And so I started going to SAA meetings when I was Sex Addicts Anonymous, so I wouldn't do anything odd or anything, just to keep myself in check when I'm on the road. I just did it on my own accord,
Do you consider yourself a sex addict?
No, I don't consider myself to be a sex addict, but I if I'm drunk or something and there's a girl in a dressing room or something like that, it's the same as when a donut walks by with a thing. You know what I mean? I have little to no self-control.
Right, okay.
So in most things in my life, I'm not very good with self-control. And so I try to keep myself in check by doing something maybe that day that will remind me of a thing and not to, keep myself in check, right? So I go along to this one and it's interesting, Sex Addicts Anonymous, because you go in there because you feel very good about yourself because I'm like, I've slept with a few prostitutes, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, the guy next to you is like, I want to fuck my kid. And you're like, whoa. Wow, you're not going to be my sponsor, right? So you try to keep your distance from these different people. So I go along to this meeting, and it was just like 5 fat guys, and I was sort of sitting there going, all right. So the first guy stood up and he said, look, I try to keep it from my wife. I just go out in the middle of the night and do it. I go at parties. I find a room to go and do it by myself. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. And then I stood up and I said, well, for me, it's always been prostitutes, right? Everyone looked at me and I went, what is this? And they go, Overeaters Anonymous. And I went, well, that is one of my problems, but not my biggest problem. I wish you all good luck. And I just sort of slipped out.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious.
Because I mixed my AM, PM. It was the right room, but it was...
Right. Yeah, because a lot of the 12-step meeting, like the different types, meet in the same room.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of 7 AM meetings because people want to do it before work, and 7 PM because people want to do it after work.
Right.
So I just mixed my AM, PM up. And to those overeaters, I'm sorry for interrupting your
Well, now they have a good story, too.
Overeaters Anonymous, come on, just fucking Jenny Craig it, right? You know what I mean? Like, I go up and down with me weight, but it's just a matter of I don't know. I don't know. You know, cigarettes are hard to give up. Drugs are hard to give up. I guess food's the same thing.
Yeah.
I watched my mother basically eat herself to death over her whole life. You know, it's a toughie eating.
I think that the sort of the through line with all of that is compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
So in a sense,
Yeah.
the steps can be applied to all of it. So did you go on to get a SA sponsor, and did you do the whole thing?
No, I just like to go to the meetings and stuff. I haven't been to lots of them. I've been like 3 times, you know. But it's like the change of life where you want to. I just want to be a good dad more than anything, more than being a good comic or anything. I want to be a good dad, and so for me to be a good dad isn't just earning enough money to support him or whatever. It's just is being a good guy, and that's what I want to be.
Was this a concern of yours before?
No, not really.
How bad of a guy were you?
What do you mean? No, I fucked a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like,
But what were your relationships like before?
I was always the type of bloke that dated a girl for a couple of years and then got bored and went on to a next girl for a couple of years. You know, I never really thought that much about getting married or anything like that. But the kid's definitely a game changer for me.
Did you have trouble staying faithful?
Yes.
Were you ever faithful?
At stints, yeah, I had 6 months here, 6 months there, where I was pretty good, you know,
right,
and stuff. But look, it's harder for a guy who's on the road a lot doing what I do, and if you've got any level of fame and you're on the road a lot and you're partying whilst being on the road and all that type of stuff, it's a tricky one. I never was the type of bloke who had affairs. I never had 2 girls going at once.
Right.
You know, it was never like there was
just hooking up.
Yeah. It was never anything like that. But no, I've been pretty good of late. I'm good. I'm not pretty good. I've been great.
Did you think that you wanted to have a kid?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to have a kid. Yeah, I love children. I find it weird when I meet people who don't like kids. You know, when you meet these people, it's like, weren't you a kid? You know, don't you?
Right.
Like, there's one thing that bonds us. We were all once children, and I find it weird when, like, there's even people at my party that are like, do you want to hold the baby? And they're like, no.
Yeah. What is that? I feel like someone who says they don't like kids, there's more they're saying. They're just not saying it. I don't know what it is. It's like some sort of like, I feel like kids don't like me, or I'm nervous. I'm afraid I'm going to drop your baby.
Or maybe they weren't happy with their own childhood and they're worried that they think. But it's these people that it's like who do get annoyed on planes. It's for me. I never really got that upset. Sitting next to. This is funny. I got asked on TMZ the other day, would I rather sit next to a baby or a fat person? That was the only time I've ever been on TMZ, and that's weird that we're talking about it again.
That is really weird.
The answer.
I don't condone people's dislike of those two. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but a fat person, if they can't have the armrest down, that is a disappointing flight. When you're like,
well, yeah, because then it's like, oh, frottage. I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of bratty kids either. But my anger isn't towards the child; it's towards the parents.
See, I remember my mom saying the thing is that because as a little kid, the fact that my parents would get sort of agitated around a baby that wouldn't stop crying, I felt like, but I'm not much more than a baby. How can you be minding this? Like, why are you not tolerant of it? And I remember my mom explaining that once, when you have a kid, the sound of a baby crying like triggers your kind of, your breasts, and then
Maternal,
you just lactate. Yeah, not really. I mean, you just feel like you want to go to that kid. I don't know. Maybe she's lying.
Yeah, I'm of the policy with my child to let him cry it out a little bit more, just to see if he'll stop. But my girlfriend doesn't mind. She gets straight up and just comforts him. It doesn't matter what time of night. And look, for the most part, I think I have a good baby in comparison to what other stories I've told. Yeah,
sounds like you do. So you and your girlfriend met on set? Is that how
on
you guys
set?
met?
Yeah, but we made the pilot like 15 months ago. Mm-hmm. So we have a 3-month-old child, so you can do the maths.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was weird because my girlfriend had just broken up with Nathan Fillion.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, oh.
Yeah, no, and
yeah.
And
Upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not much of an upgrade.
Sure you are. I don't know what he's like at all, but the guy from Castle, for people who are like, I know that name.
The Firefly guy, yeah. So that was that. I much more glamorous than me, I'm sure.
No. Nathan Fillion.
I'm funnier. And if you look at the photos, he's fatter than I am. He's put on the weight, old Castle. He's a big boy. Mm-hmm. So, I've got that. I've got less hair. He's got better hair than me. But, I've got my own TV show too. It might be on cable.
That's right.
Fucking great TV show.
Yeah, Castle sucks.
You have way more cred.
Yeah, Castle.
You're more...
I've never seen Castle, but I think it sucks.
Do you even know what it's about?
Probably. I think it's about like a billionaire crime solver.
Yeah, I think he's a... Why waste time talking about that?
But it's interesting, though. Like,
he's an author who writes crime novels, I think.
So
basically, and so he shadows this woman.
They nicked the idea from Murder, She Wrote. He's Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
My girlfriend
Jessica.
used to go out with Angela Lansbury. Oh, there you go. That was the theme song to Murder, She Wrote never really fit in with the rest of the show.
I am blanking out on what the theme song
Well,
was,
see,
but I remember you'd see the typewriter. Oh, yeah, and the typewriter.
Right. It was all cheery, and then like the first thing was, "Oh, you're cheating on me, bullet to the head." And this old bag would be wandering around, and just every time she was in some seaside resort, there'd be a fucking murder. And no one ever thought there's a pattern to this. Wherever Angela Lansbury is, someone gets killed.
You're right.
If she just stayed in New York.
The elephant in the room.
It was always she was on holidays and a murder was made.
Did you always want to do a TV show?
Yes. Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought about it. I was pretty content with the stand-up and all that type of stuff. And I still am. I'll never stop being a stand-up. You can't say I'd really like to do a TV show in the sense that it's very hard to get one. Mm-hmm. And I'd written so many scripts that had been sold and were about to become a pilot. I did a pilot in the UK, which sucked. And
Why?
It just wasn't good. It wasn't funny, and the script was bastardized and rewritten 1,000 times. And the cool thing about this show is this is the first show that's actually been made, and it's the closest thing out of anything I've created to being what I actually wanted it to be. So when I actually watched it, I go, all right, cool, this is what I wanted. Mm-hmm. So even if it doesn't get renewed and it's just one season or whatever, and I won't know that for another month or so, I'm proud of it, And how did this come about? I went into the offices at FX and I went in with Peter O'Fallon, who I'd met. And Peter O'Fallon made The Riches. It was his big show before that with Eddie Izzard. And he wanted to not do hour-longs anymore. And he met me in a bar and he said, I'd like to do half hours. And I said, all right, I got this story about me taking a friend with muscular dystrophy. And we went in the next day and I did the routine. The routine takes 35 minutes to do on stage. And if you do it conversational, it takes about 40 minutes if you're acting like it's not a routine. Mm-hmm. And so I just told him this story, and I got them all laughing. And John Landgraf, the head of FX, went, all right, we'll make that. And then I went, oh, I got other stories. Right? And my agent literally pulled me by the arm out of the room. I said, what are you doing? He goes, you just fucking won.
Yeah.
If you keep talking, you'll talk your way out of it, all right? And so they went, oh, thanks, everyone. And then like a month later, we were up in Portland making the show. We filmed the pilot in Portland, but the rest of it's done in Venice.
Why Portland?
There's a tax break up there, and we used the camera crew and all the people from a TV show called Leverage, and they were friends with Peter, and so we got them all cheap in their off season.
That story about almost talking yourself out of it, I can totally relate to that because I feel like I do that. Like I should stop talking at this point, but I'll add like another 3 paragraphs, which will somehow undermine. Like I undermine myself. Is that something you do?
Exactly. They would have gone. All right, great, we're making it. And I go, well, that's not even that great a story. I've got other stories that are better. And then they start thinking, actually, it's not that great a story. And then you're like...
Well, yeah, because I think... See, I'll speak for me, but I have a feeling maybe this is for you too. Like that kind of, like, real talk or humility or whatever in a not show business room comes across as just being a normal person. But I think that so much of show business is about, like, being... authoritative and assertive and just and being persuasive, right?
Yeah. I think for now when we have the notes calls on the scripts, I just shut the fuck up, man. I just let him say things, and then I go, okay, because I know that I'll lose other jokes if I keep talking, because I'll literally go, well, I don't see why you have a problem with this joke, because there's a joke that was way more offensive, and then they're like, actually, that joke is bad. And you're like, fuck, I lost both jokes. Just shut up. Yeah. So, I just shut up.
How has the notes process been?
It's all right. It's pretty good. It's just over the phone for the most part. And now it's just us sending in episodes and them doing fine tweaking on the edits, There's only been, I'd say, 2 or 3 jokes that I'm disappointed I lost, But for the most part, you got to look at it. You can hear every comedian bitch and moan and say, I went to the network and the network executives, blah, 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 blah. The point is they've made more fucking TV shows than you have. So you got to listen to them.
Yeah.
You can't think me making my first TV show that I have all the fucking answers, because I obviously don't.
Can you tell us one of the jokes that didn't get in?
Yeah, at the end of the pilot, we took 2 takes when the cop comes up to the car and he sees Billy asleep and the other guy dribbling. I played cerebral palsy, and the guy thought it was a car full of disabled people, and he let us go because he thought that we were so happy for us to be driving around by ourselves. And it was funnier. It was less touching. But for the pilot, I think everyone freaked the fuck out about
That's weird. Yeah, it's funny that they wouldn't... Like, to me, it's like, why is that so much... Why is that so over the line?
It's when you pull the face, you go, "Thank you, officer," and you do all that. You know what I mean? And it was really funny, and it tested really good. But it was, we were worried that the reviewers maybe that would turn a lot of people off, and so. But it was definitely a funnier ending.
Are there things that, as an offensive comic, which you referred to yourself as earlier, are there things that you won't joke about? Is there anything off the table?
The only things that I won't joke about are the things that I don't, that are personal to my own life, that I don't want to be thinking about or remembering when I'm on stage. That will get me sad. See, I understand that if I make a joke about AIDS, that there's people in the room that have got HIV, or if I make a joke about cancer, there's people in the room, everyone knows someone who's died of cancer. And the thing is, I always find it very odd when someone comes up and goes, "How dare you do that? My grandfather died of pancreatic cancer." And you're like, well, I just did a joke about AIDS as well. I understand that you're upset, but you have to rationalize that there's a lot of upsetting jokes in the whole show. And it's not directed at you, and it's not, all that type of stuff. So I don't joke. I had someone very close to me commit suicide, so I don't really joke about suicide on stage because I just don't want to think about that.
Yeah, I also, someone very close to me committed suicide. This was years ago, and I remember after it, because I've always been able to laugh at everything, but after that, any suicide joke, like I remember, this was a joke, but not really. Like I made a little piece of paper, I was hanging out with a friend, I made a piece of paper and I wrote suicide jokes / because like I just couldn't. It would bring up all the grief again.
Exactly.
I could not even, and like Kurt Cobain jokes are things that, tasteless jokes that if it was something else I would have laughed at, all of a sudden were offensive to me.
Exactly. But I can watch a comedian do a suicide joke and I won't laugh because it does upset me, but I have the power of mind that, okay, I reset after that joke and we go again, and I don't discount everything, because even non-offensive comedians will do jokes where, you know, that woman, she should fucking kill herself. You know, they'll do some joke like that, and they'll make suicide jokes in The Simpsons where like Homer's holding a noose just in the last one. And I think that people make fun of that very freely, and it's, man, I tell you what, until you've gone through a suicide, fuck me, cancer seems like a cakewalk in my because at least you have time and you have something to blame.
Yeah.
You know, and with suicide, everyone blames themselves.
Yeah.
And no one gets to say sorry, or no one gets to say goodbye, and it's a horrible ending.
For me, it was just this feeling of like everything. It was like the world imploded. Like everything went wrong, and people are walking around acting normal. People who don't know, and like the world is not normal anymore. Like,
it was mortifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the one thing that I personally don't joke about, but I'm not offended when other people do joke.
I also, for a while, when people would just colloquially be like, oh, if that happens, I'm going to fucking kill myself, I'd be like, wait, do I need to take that seriously? Because I was so on guard, because I felt like I had missed the signs, even though in my situation, it wasn't at all like how you see on after-school specials of like the person being like, I want you to, giving away things, or, you know, I mean, there weren't really any signs, and that's what freaked me out, is that how could we all have missed this?
Yeah, it's horribly sad. As someone who I've had depression in my life, it's when people, it bugs me to this fucking day, is when people start going, oh, it's a coward, it's a cowardly act, or it's these people who don't believe you get into heaven. I don't believe anyone gets into heaven, but these people who pass such judgment. How could this person do this? They had kids, they had whatever. If you're that low in your brain, you believe that it's better for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's the horrible thing, is that this person leaves the planet thinking the world will be better without me, or my kids will have a better life. I'm such a fucking fuck up. That, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that is where their brain is at. They're not doing it like fuck you. They're not doing it, and so many people think, oh, it's a cowardly thing. It's not cowardly. I think Doug Stanhope has a routine where he says, put a gun in your mouth and fire it, and see how fucking cowardly you are. Right. It's a fucking brave act to be able to do that. Yeah. Not that it's a good act or something. It's definitely not a smart act, but it's tough. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's a horrible thing, suicide, and I feel like we donate so much money to breast cancer and all that type of stuff, and I feel like suicide sort of gets the bum deal out of diseases. Yeah,
I think because there's this lack of understanding of the mental illness or the whatever the state that precedes it. It's like, because people who are very removed, I hear people all the time say stuff like, well, if that's what the person wants to do, and it's like, but it's not. I mean, my belief is it's not a rational decision. No,
and it's definitely not what they call the easy way out. That's turmoil. Yeah, turmoil's fucking worse than any pain you can have in your body.
So how long did it take you to get back to feeling normal? If you are,
I'm still not over that. But to stop blaming myself, it took 2 years. Stop blaming myself and to take some time and sit back and go, okay, you know, I had a fight with her before she did it. I won't get into too much details. I had a fight the night before, and but she had a lot of hard things. She'd lost her sister and she lost her mother in the course of a year before, and you know, she was going through a hard time. You know, and a lot of people fight with people before they do it because they.
Yeah, well, I had a similar thing, because it's like, because for me, like, you fight with the person because they're not being themselves.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's a very. I'll tell you the one funny thing about it was I rang my mother up and I said, "Mum, I said some horrible things during this fight. I didn't mean any of it." And now she's dead, and my mother went, in life you say things you don't mean and you regret them, and that's just life. You have to move past it. And she was sort of making me feel better, and she goes, "I'm just so happy I've never said anything to you kids or your father that I regret." And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to the general public? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
these are the acceptable things.
Yeah, you said to me 6 months ago, I want you to know that when I'm dead, in many ways you've been a huge disappointment to me.
Oh, my God.
That's what she said during the fight. And I said, you have nothing that you regret saying to me ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, it's me, Allison, from before. Don't forget to download part 2 bright and early on Thursday. I love you.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Thank you for choosing the Alison Rosen show. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. That's right. Those good times don't seem to end. That's right. That's right. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now it's time to go. Hope to see you next time for the Alison Rosen show. Yeah! Yeah, Alison Rosen is your new best friend.
This is Corolla Digital.